Life has a way of coming full circle, doesn't it? A man who rose to the top through cruelty and deceit finds himself at the bottom, begging for help from the very person he destroyed. This isn't just a story. It's a cold, hard lesson in karma, a tale of a debt that was never forgotten, and a reckoning that was years in making. Our story begins in the polished halls of corporate America, a place where ambition is a currency and ruthlessness is a virtue. This is the world of Jonathan Vance. Jonathan isn't just a boss. He's a predator. He built his empire on the backs of others, stepping on anyone who got in his way. He saw people not as human beings, but as rungs on a ladder, and his most valuable, yet most disposable, employee was Ethan Riley. Ethan was a brilliant young engineer, the kind of talent you only see once in a generation. He was a visionary, a problem solver, and he was completely dedicated to his work. But he had one flaw in Jonathan's eyes. He was too good. Jonathan saw Ethan not as an asset, but as a threat. He knew Ethan's groundbreaking ideas could make the company, but he also feared that one day, Ethan might overshadow him. So, Jonathan did what he did best. He waited for the right moment. The moment came with a big project. Ethan worked on it for months, pouring his heart and soul into the design. It was a masterpiece, a game changer. But on the day of the big presentation to the board, Jonathan stole it. He presented Ethan's work as his own, taking all the credit. When Ethan confronted him, Jonathan smiled a cold, razor-thin smile. He had a forged document showing Ethan had been let go weeks ago. Ethan was out, blacklisted from the entire industry, with a single phone call from Jonathan. His career was over, his dreams shattered. Jonathan watched him go, a triumphant smirk on his face. He thought he had won. He didn't know he had just signed his own death warrant. Years passed. Jonathan Vance's empire, built on a lie, began to crumble. He made a series of terrible business decisions, blinded by his own arrogance. He dismissed new technologies as fads, and his company, once a titan, became a dinosaur. The market shifted, and his competitors, who were embracing the very innovations he had rejected, devoured his business. One by one, his assets were seized. His mansion was foreclosed. His yacht was sold. He was left with nothing but the clothes on his back and the bitter taste of defeat. He tried to start over, but his reputation preceded him. The industry remembered him as a tyrant and a failure. Desperate, with no one left to turn to, he heard a name whispered in the circles of the new elite, a name synonymous with genius and success. Ethan Riley. Jonathan's blood ran cold. The irony was a cruel, perfect punch to the gut. The man he had so mercilessly destroyed was now the one person who could save him. Humiliation was a bitter pill, but starvation was a worse one. He sent a plea, a single email begging for an interview. He got a call back. The address led him to a towering skyscraper, a monument to success that dwarfed his old, crumbling headquarters. He was led into a penthouse office, the kind he used to own, but 10 times grander. And there, behind a massive desk, sat Ethan. Ethan Riley, older now, his face marked by the quiet confidence of a man who had built his own world. He wasn't smiling. He was just watching him, his eyes like 2 pools of quiet knowledge. "Jonathan," Ethan said, his voice calm, "please have a seat." Jonathan sank into the chair, the memory of that day in his own office flashing before his eyes. The roles were so perfectly, excruciatingly reversed. He was the one begging now, the one with his future in another man's hands. The hook. Ethan began to speak, not about the past, but about a new project. A project so massive, so complex, it required a kind of ruthless, take-no-prisoners mindset that only a man like Jonathan possessed. Jonathan listened, a knot of shame and desperate hope twisting in his gut. Then Ethan stood up and walked to the window, looking out over the city he had conquered. He turned back, his expression unreadable. "Jonathan," he said, and the silence that followed was deafening. "I have a new offer for you. A new project. One that could make you rich again. But there's a catch." The pause was dramatic, the silence thick with anticipation. "The catch is," Ethan continued, his voice dropping to a near whisper, "that this project is a test. And the first thing I need you to do is get on your knees and apologize for what you did to me. And if you don't do it with real sincerity, you'll be thrown out, and I will make sure you will never work again in this town. Your penance starts here. Jonathan's mouth went dry. He had taken so much from Ethan. Now, would he humble himself, swallow his pride, and beg for forgiveness? Or would his arrogance, the very thing that destroyed him, be his final act? The story of a man who lost everything to his own ego, now facing his final, most difficult choice. A choice that could either redeem him or bury him forever.